All right, we'll begin with an opening statement from Coach Napier, and we'll open up to questions. Video, we good, Tim? Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you.
It's good to go. Okay. Heck of a football game. And hats off to Miami. They have a really good football team. I think they played well enough to win tonight. And credit to Coach Cristobal and his team and how they played complimentary football. You know, I do think that our kids battled their tail off. You know, I think in particular defensively it was an incredible effort. Obviously not good enough on offense. We didn't generate enough yards or points. The first half was a trial of errors. Not many plays where we executed well at all. We had mental errors in protection on third down and really struggled to stack any good plays together. You know, we had 4 3-and-outs and 6 punts in the first half. Now, I do think the kids responded at halftime. The staff did a great job and put together a good script. We found some running game there early in the second half and able to kind of make it a football game there, 13-7, and get a takeaway, right? And in position there with a fourth down, got to have it. You come up a little bit short on the 30-yard line. And then obviously at that point, the game kind of gets out of control with a couple of short fields late. But in general, you know, our kids competed. You know, I do think that I'm proud of the way the kids showed up and the effort in which they played with. Now, the execution on offense obviously was not good enough. We struggled to get off the field on third down in the first half on defense. I do think that Tommy Doman had a good day in the punt game, but it was a game of field position. We played on a long field in the first half. And obviously we kind of got back into some normal field position in the second half, but in general, had our shots, we had our chances. There were some plays to be made in the second half in particular, but it's a good football team. What questions do we have?
0 for 13 on third down tonight. What was the issue there, and how much did that hold you guys back?
Yeah, no, I think in particular in the first half, we had some bust in protection. You know, I do think there's opportunities there when you look at it big picture wise, where we got to make some plays. We got to give Miami some credit too. They pressured us, they affected the quarterback, and it wasn't good enough. You know, so I think the first half in particular was a game that was about third down. They stayed on the field. They got us off the field.
Coach, did your familiarity with Carson Beck, that's the third time you faced him, enable you to game plan properly to contain him? Because I've seen him the first few games, and his stats were not anywhere near like what he had at USF and Notre Dame. You guys did a really good job bottling up and forcing Miami to find other ways to beat you.
Yeah. Look, I think we have a good defensive unit. I think we've got good personnel. Our staff does a great job. And we played the early downs. I do think that he did a nice job on third down in particular in the first half. But in general, our defensive staff and players did a great job executing the plan.
Billy, at what point does the buck stop with you and the offensive staff? Now, this is 3 games now with only 1 touchdown, just putting your guys in better position, you think?
Yeah, I think that when we watch the tape, it'll be a combination of a lot of things. I think every position is contributing to our issues. Obviously, we talked about DJ and what he's been through this offseason. I do think that there's some rhythm missing there, and that's going to be what we're going to go back to the drawing board. I think the open date's coming at a good time there, and we got to evaluate everything we're doing on that side of the ball.
Billy, would you say this running back tandem of Mark Fletcher and Marty Brown are as good a two as you've seen? Because these guys are awfully good. They had 3 touchdowns between them and a lot of yards because Miami's running attack was great.
Yeah, I think obviously a couple of those touchdowns are on short fields at the end of the game, but in general, they're effective. I think their OL does a nice job. It's a vertical run game.
Right.
They're both big, they're both heavy, and they're tough to tackle. So they're both really good players.
Billy, field goal, did you consider?
Well, it's 4th and 4. You know, it's 53-yard field goal. You know, you're rolling into the fourth quarter. You know, analytically, it was a go. If you think about it, it was a touchdown game at that point. Even if you get to 3, it's still a touchdown game, right? So I think we got it on the short field. We hadn't had many of those the entire night. And it felt like we had the play there. We just got to get our depth on the route. The play was there. We completed the pass. We got to get our depth.
Taking deep shots, was there a concern about protection there, or what limited your guys' ability to, you know, make some?
Yeah,
make some
pocket
throws
was
against them?
muddy. It was a pressure game. A lot of fire zones. And I think that they stayed on top of the routes. You know, that was the plan. That was the intent. So, in general, there, you know, we caught a few. We did have some issues in protection at times.
Billy, you mentioned the bye week a ton last year, just how much it helped this team after a tough start last year going 1-2. How confident are you that these corrections that you need to make, you're going to be able to implement when you guys flip the script and flip the page and turn around to the bye week?
Yeah, we've got to generate some points. We've got to get more first downs. We've got to find some rhythm on offense. Bottom line, I think we've got a good group in the kicking game, and on defense, our guys continue to show up and play. We're lacking consistency. We're lacking detail, and we're struggling to stack plays.
What does give you confidence? I mean, last year you guys did have that turnaround. What gives you confidence that this is to happen again?
The young men in that locker room, you know, that's what gives me confidence. I know what they're capable of, in particular, offensively. We got to help them, and we've got to do our best from a leadership standpoint and coaching standpoint with each group. But I think the makeup of the group is what gives me confidence.
What would
The
you say?
physical toll of this game, I mean, you lost 4 players. I mean, what's the concern there going forward? Just how physical it was, and the fact that you had guys that were kind of laying on the line tonight.
Yeah, no, we knew it was going to be that type of game. Both sides, both very physical teams, and we got a couple guys banged up. We'll have more on the details of those injuries in the future. You know, I don't know the severity of some of them, but I think we might come out of there okay.
Hey, Billy, your defense has looked awfully good all year. I know that they've limited to their opponents to a couple of offensive touchdowns. In that first half, you limited Miami to 3 field goals, which was good to put you in a position where you can even compete in the second half. How pleased were you with your defensive performance overall until the latter part of the game where it did get out of control?
13-7 in the second half.
Yeah.
2 turnover on downs and 2 short fields lead to 13 points. So, yeah, our defensive group kept us in the game.
Billy, on I believe Miami's first field goal, there was another incident with only 10 guys on the field. How frustrating is something like that in year 4?
Yeah, I don't know the details of that right now.
Billy, just in terms of just where you're at, like these robbery games are big deals to the fans, and you guys have struggled in them.
Yeah, they're a big deal to us too.
Well, I understand, but
Yeah.
but just in terms of like where you're at, like going, your team's 1-3, you had high hopes for it. Just how are you kind of processing the start of this season?
Yeah, we got work to do. I think we've got an obligation to do that, not only for our fans and our alumni, but for the players in that locker room. So, yeah, we care about it a lot too.
Thank you.
What's the
Last one.
communication like with DJ when he's coming off the field, struggling a little bit? I mean, just what's his mindset in between those series and just trying to make the in-game corrections? I mean, what's his demeanor as a whole during that
Yeah, he's
time?
battling. He's battling. He's a young player who's had a unique offseason, and he's battling his tail off to try to do his job for his teammates. And, I think the team rallied around him this week. They respect him as a person, as a leader, as a competitor. They know what he's been through, and I think that that's their intent, and they certainly showed up and played that way.
Keeping a positive mentality though through the whole course of the games, the last three with the struggles?
Yeah, no, I think there's one way to do it. You gotta try to keep it technical for him. He's still a young player. You gotta keep him process oriented. And you gotta show him where if he does it the right way, he'll get a different result. And again, quarterback play, oftentimes is a reflection of the play around the quarterback, right? You know, you guys don't like to hear that, but I think it's important to understand that the quarterback's playing well. A lot of times the players around him are playing well. He's contributing to some of our issues, but there's also a lot of other players contributing to those. So as a whole, the unit has got to do much better.
Thank you.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.